All right, so I thought it'd be fun to do a 2023 recap. And by that, I mean, I want to talk about my favorite things I've done. So favorite handle material, favorite steels, favorite knife design. These are all the knives I made for 2023. It's 7 of them, I guess. And so first I'll start off just with handle material. And I mean, so for handle material and steels, it's the best so far. When I talk about knife design, I'll talk about just specifically for 2023. But for steels and handle material, I want to compare it later on. If I'm still doing this a year from now, I want to see if it still stays the same. That'd be interesting to know that. All right, so I'll start off with handle material first. And my favorite handle material is lignum vitae, specifically lignum vitae, Argentinian lignum vitae. So this is ironwood, and here is Argentinian lignum vitae. Here is buloke wood from Australia. This is crosscut micarta. Here's terotuf, just gray terotuf. Here's red terotuf. And this is just gray terotuf again. So the reason I like this so much is because it changes color with the sun. You can still see here how all the grain got like changed, got kind of like feathered, got thicker than here. This is how it looks originally, a little bit lighter than this actually. This hasn't been exposed enough still for it to change like this. So super nice in terms of the changes it gets just from use. And it's very hard. I didn't have any problems with any material getting punched out when I put in the pins for this cross. And I'll show you this one. This is the ironwood. I did have some material get punched out here, some tear out. And I like this Argentinian lignum vitae even more than actual genuine lignum vitae, which I actually have an example of here, which, as you can see, it's much darker. The grain on this is just like thick lines. This also changes with the sun, same thing. It'll be much lighter to begin with, and then it just turns brownish. The dust itself, if you look at it, will be green, but the green on this handle, you can't tell as much as this. The thing I like about this also, both of these, they have like a type of oil that's just like impregnated into them already. Like it's a natural oil they have, which makes the handle smell flowery, which it's odd. It's like a potpourri kind of smell. So if you ever get a piece of lignum vitae, smell it. So, but yeah, this so far is my favorite handle material, and I'll start using it a little bit more just from now on. All right, so the steels I used last year are Vanadis 4 Extra, K390, 80 CRB2, CPM 3V, CPM 3V. This is Magnacut, and this is LC200N. So this is kind of like a two-part thing. So my favorite stainless so far, and this is like every stainless I've used besides these, is Magnacut. So my previous favorite was Vanadis. And Vanadis for a larger knife is just a little bit more fragile than Magnacut. Magnacut itself too, if you go too thin, will warp, and I'll show you that in a second. But you don't have to baby it as much as Vanadis. So the way I test these, I just use them for work, and I chop branches and just cut things, and just use them in general for stuff I would normally use them for. I don't go out of my way and like do crazy stuff. But Vanadis has better edge retention, and edge stability is just tougher than Vanadis. It's tougher than LC200N, and LC200N doesn't have it's not as corrosion resistant as Vanadis. So, but if you want something that's completely like corrosion resistant, like you can drop in in the ocean, and if you knew how to get it again, you can just come back a year later and find it, and it'll be fine. go with Vanax. Magnacut will rust if you leave it in salt water for a certain amount of days. I did a test on that. But just from normal use, if you just carry it, it won't rust. You can leave it wet, you can wash it, and then just put it back in your sheath, and it's fine. Nothing will happen to it. But it's just tougher. That's the main thing. So it's stainless enough and just tougher than Vanax. And let me just show you on Vanax what I mean. So see this little chip here? It's not really a chip, it's that little spot there. This used to be a little bit worse, but I just from sharpening and stuff, it got a little bit better. So like I said, this is just from normal use. Just from cutting branches and stuff like that, it got this little divot, and not a chip, just a bend. The Magnacut did get a warp. Let's see if I can get the light on it again. Right about there. You see that? So if you just follow the light, whoop. So it did get a warp, but it's not something you can actually see if you look down, straight down the edge. It's not bad enough for that. It's just, you can only tell just by looking at it through just the light. And this was just, it got that warp from just harder use than Vanax itself. So yeah, so stainless, favorite is Magnacut. All right, so for steel, like the best steel, like better than everything I've used by far, like easily, is K390. So I've only used the Vanadis 4 Extra for like 2 weeks at work, but so far, like for sure, this K390 keeps an edge longer. But what I mean is like not just an edge. So this is still like pretty sharp. It can still shave, even though I've used it for like 2 weeks. But this, it's like hair popping sharp, and then it stays hair popping sharp after like using it for like weeks. It's just kind of nuts. So, and I'm only using it against, wood, like I said, branches and stuff like that. But it's just insane though. It's just it's crazy how it's like a huge razor, and it's just continuously, like constantly in the form of a razor. So it doesn't diminish as easily. It's just beautiful. So, and then besides that, this thing is like super thin behind the edge, if you see that. And I've chopped hardened wood. Pecan wood is pretty high up there in terms of the Jenka scale or whatever. Just in terms of hardwood, I've chopped a bunch of stuff, and the edge has been absolutely perfect. No warpage, no dings, nothing. And this is 64 Rockwell hardness with like hella carbides, and it's just like beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So from now on, I'm going to make every single knife I can in K390, unless it's, for use wise. If I'm going to wear something that's close to my body, so something like this, it'll have to be something like Magnacut or LC200N or Vanax or whatever. But if it's, because it's just a rust, but if it's just a normal knife, like a large knife that I'm gonna use for work, I'm gonna use K390 unless I can't get it also. So I can't remake this. It would be beautiful if I could. I can't remake this knife in K390. This is like about a 1/4 inch thick, and I would need a piece that's 4 inches wide by 12 inches long for me to actually be able to remake this in K390. But everything I can, I will, just because I'm like absolutely impressed. So yeah, absolute favorite, K390. So far this has been fine so far, but just in terms of just edge retention, this is comparable. This is 64 Rockwell hardness. This is 64 Rockwell hardness. I don't know if it matters, but I'll tell you the rest too. 58 to 60 for the 80 CRV2. The CPM 3V is 60 Rockwell harness, 60 Rockwell harness. It is 63 Rockwell harness for the for the Magnacut, and it's 60 for the LC200N. But yeah, beautiful steel, absolutely. Okay, and then just next up is just, yeah, design. My favorite design is this one. And the reason for that is that it just does everything I wanted to do very nicely. So it can chop really well. This is about 1/4 inch thick. This is a little bit more than 3 inches wide. Just because of that, this feels like a little hatchet, which is beautiful. It can still poke very well. Just because it's still, even though it's a little bit robust, the tip, it's still not too thick. I can cut with the tip very nicely too, so I can slash or just snap cut with the tip very well, just because of the angle of the handle, just compared to the rest of the knife. It's very easy to do a snap cut. This keeps my hand in place. It won't fly out of my hand. It won't slip or anything like that. And the handle itself, this is one of the things I wanted to do. So when you do have a hand guard or something that's flat like this, just from my experience or just my use, I found that you can put more force into anything that you poke. So, and this is actually, the handle design is actually for this. This is supposed to be the main handle. This main way you hold this is just the ice pick grip, and it's just overall it's more comfortable like this. But whenever you poke something with a flat, where your hand just basically stops, just dead stops to up against something, you can put a lot more force into whatever you're poking. It might not be a lot, but it is more. Something like this or like this that stops your hand. It's always good to have something to stop your hand from going onto the edge. But this, your hand will deform around it basically a bit when you are poking something hard. And this will just be a dead stop right up against it. Besides that, when you do poke something, just the general shape of the blade, from it just going from a tip to something so wide, just so fast, in such a short distance, you'll be able to pull out whatever you're poking. You'll be able to pull out your blade with just less resistance. Just to think of a triangle poking something, then just coming out, rather than a rectangle, something like this. So if you do poke something, then you have both edges basically touching whenever you're pulling this knife out of something. And when it's something hard, it'll just be more resistance as opposed to this, which is a triangle. So yeah, overall, beautiful. And I will do a video later on, I'll just like a presentation video of just me going over these things. So I'll show you these benefits of this design in general. So very, very nice, beautiful. I see this like a little piece of art. Another thing is this came out okay. So I wanted to do an evil eye, came out nice, and on the other side, came out okay. So yeah, that's one of the things I want to do, and I was able to do it on this blade. And so just overall, real quick, the reasons I made these knives. This just a design that came to my head, and I just wanted to do it. A tanto is not my design, but it's just absolutely like a beautiful design. Just like this secondary tip just opens up things whenever you cut them. It just cuts into things whenever you slash something. Absolutely deep. These two were an experiment. So I was comparing ADCR V2 to CPM3V. CPM3V is much, much better, and just in terms of use and just practicality, just overall. This was a fever dream, I guess. Just me messing around. I wanted to make this thing and just see what it does. Not very useful. Cut's kind of crazy, especially this tip right here. But it's just a double-sided tanto with a flat top. Still pokes very well, but it's just kind of nuts. Yeah, this I wanted to make just something that checked a bunch of boxes. It was an evolution of a design I did. And this is just a carry, basically. The LC200N, I wanted something that I could EDC. Something tall with a flat grind that would stay sharp and wouldn't rust, basically. And yeah, came up with this. Yeah, so any questions, suggestions, let me know. All right, bye.